Thank you for joining me today for this webinar. I hope you can hear me well. This is the second episode of our webinar, Boosting Requirements Management Capabilities in Microsoft Word. Today, the focus will be writing high-quality requirements, which, as perhaps some of you already know, has been our key topic for quite a long time. I think you all know me, so I skip my presentation just to go to the key aspect of this episode of the webinar, which is the quality of your requirements. So the first question is, why do we have to worry about the quality of our requirements? And of course, I don't know what is the level of quality of your own requirements, but I know what the statistics and the averages are telling us. So information like this is very frequent in many different surveys, telling us that most of the errors introduced during the project are actually introduced during the early stages, especially the requirement phase. According to this chart that you can see on the screen by IBM, it was up to 70% of the defects that were introduced in the requirements phase. What is even worse is the green bar line in this chart telling us that out of these 70% of the errors, only 4% of them are actually identified and fixed within the requirement phase. And it is not normally until testing phase, or in the worst case, the operational phase, where those defects are detected and fixed. And of course, the over cost of this late detection and fixing is a lot of money, clearly. So the idea is, why not reducing the ratio of the number of defects that are introduced in the requirements phase? But of course, we are all humans and we make mistakes. So for those mistakes that we make during this phase, hopefully to increase the number of them that are actually early identified and fixed, right? So putting these two arrows together, the benefit for every single company will be huge. And as you know, there are plenty of different guides on how to write requirements. Starting with the guide to write requirements, you know me, you know that I love this guide. An annex in the NASA Systems Engineering Handbook. If we move into the European Space Agency, then we have 3 different standards telling us how to write requirements and how to write other types of documents that are rich in requirements. We have the 29148, the ISO, the IEEE 830. For the Europeans, more the especially German companies following SOFIS, the rules, the BABOK, the Business Analyst Body of Knowledge, also with a special chapter on the verification of the requirements. So all these guides are including very nice characteristics and rules to follow in order to end up with high quality requirements. You know that we like to simplify a little bit classifying all of our rules and metrics into 3 main categories, being correctness for the quality of individual requirements, while consistency and completeness for the quality of sets of requirements, and especially consistency, also checking such consistency between requirements and models, and not only between requirements and requirements, right? So this is our key approach, and if you are following us for quite a long time, you know that all those guides that I was introducing in the previous slide have been covered first by libraries of our tools, and all those libraries are free to download for our customers, right? So please, you can follow this QR code if you want to first watch the webinars that we devoted to any one of those guides. And of course, from this page with the webinar, you can also download the library, right? So I have created 3 questions in a poll that I would like you to provide me with some information. If you want to contribute to this poll, please scan the QR code, or just open your browser, type slido.com and enter the hash key for my poll, which is 8019632, right? So please go to this website. I give you 1 minute to tell me which of the guides that I have mentioned are you normally following in your different projects. And of course, if you are following other guides, then I think there is a section just to answer other below. And please use the chat box to tell us which one is the one that you are following, right? I have some results already here. Well, telling us that INCOSE guide to writing requirements is the one which is more followed, followed by NASA, Sophist, and others. So please, if you have answered others, please let us know which is or are the ones that you are following. You can continue giving us your thoughts and your information, but I continue with the webinar. Just to tell you that, of course, even if those guidelines are including very nice set of quality characteristics and quality rules, but in our experience, the real success is obtained when those rules are tailored for the purpose of each individual case. And well, we can speak a lot. We don't have time in this short webinar to discuss the needs for tailoring. Initially, of course, we cannot analyze in the same way, just to put it in 1 minute, you cannot analyze in the same way a requirement which is part of a very high level document like a business requirement specification. The rules that to follow in this kind of documents are to be clearly fully different to the rules to follow in a very detailed technical specification for a given component in our system, right? So in this webinar that you can reach just by scanning this other QR code, I discuss this notion of the need of tailoring in detail in 1 hour. And if you go to this page, scanning this QR code, then you can also request a free copy of my book where I devote a full book explaining first the need of tailoring, and second, the way to tailor this with our solutions. This webinar and this book are pretty much focused on the tailoring of the INCOSE guide. However, of course, the same notion of tailoring can be applied to whatever other guideline, not only INCOSE, right? So rules in all those guidelines don't have time to follow them, but the rules like solution-free, feasible requirements, consistent requirements, avoiding pronouns, avoiding ambiguous concepts and actions, avoiding imprecise quantifiers, using the active voice, meaning your spelling, plenty of different quality characteristics conforming a high quality requirement, right? So, and now I have another topic in my poll, which is now asking you which are the rules that you find more difficult to follow, right? So now, if you go and click on the same or just refresh your browser, then you will find the second question in the browser, right? So in this one, you don't have to check, you just have to write which are the characteristics that you find the most difficult, let's say, to cover, the most challenging characteristic to cover. I give you 1 additional minute to provide me with your thoughts. It seems that consistency is a key aspect, growing, by the way, traceability as well, whistle words, ambiguity, ambiguous requirements, the length of the requirement. It seems to be very easy to just to say, hey guys, please write shorter requirements, but indeed it seems that it is not that easy to come out with shorter requirements while when you have given us this answer. So consistency, very nice. It seems that well, we in Spain we have had during over the past days and weeks a very special case of consistency with a train manufacturer designing trains that were not fitting in the size of some of the tunnels in the railway they have to go, right? So I find this as a consistency issue between the information in the requirements and in the design of the trains themselves and the engineering dimensions, in this case, of other elements of the systems like the tunnels, right? So consistency is a very important aspect. So thank you for your answers. You can continue with your answers, but I now will focus on the next topic, because in our experience, when we speak about high quality requirements, it is not only the notion of following those very well known quality characteristics, it is also to follow an agreed upon set of standard templates or grammars or boilerplates, or as we like to name them, patterns. So the notion of requirements pattern is something like in this slide, I have chosen a couple of patterns. I think both are included in the ISO 29148 patterns. Like the first one is when a condition happens in my system, the subject of interest, the subject of this requirement, which has to be an entity in my system, shall perform whatever action over other objects or entities in the system within a time constraint. So something like when the heater enters warm-up mode, the display shall show an orange LED in less than half a second, something like that, right? More examples, like the weight of the heads-up display shall be less than 700 grams, following the second of my patterns, property, name of a property, name of a system element shall be, and then an operator, a number, plus units. Normally, it is not that easy. It could be coming with kind of a range between this and that, or shall be this plus minus whatever. So normally, this is the way to deal with this kind of values for a given physical properties. So similarly to the notion of quality rules and those well-known guidelines on how to write high quality requirements, when we speak about patterns, there are clearly, or there is first a clear champion here, very well known, which is EARS. EARS stands for Easy Approach to Requirements Syntax. With the typical and mythical ubiquitous, event-driven, state-driven, unwanted behavior, operational, optional feature, and complex or compound patterns. So these are the 6 patterns according to EARS. According to Sophist, the second example, the master Sophist patterns, I like this other approach because it is a little bit more sophisticated and explained in detail and with low-level structures for the patterns as well. So as happened with the quality rules, both of these libraries of patterns, first, both of these 2 catalogs of patterns have been covered in a library in our tools, and we have webinars dealing with both of them, right? So just follow these links or these QR codes to get more information about these 2 webinars. And then my final question is on this now. Is please tell us if you know any of those guides or catalog of patterns, and if so, which is the one that you follow, or of course you can also say others in case you are following other different catalog of patterns. So another minute just for you to vote and to tell us which is the one that you know or the one that you follow. And if you are following other, please use the chat system to tell us which one is the one that you are following. Until now, this is real-time information. It seems that Sophist, wow, Sophist is winning even more than years, and we have at least one vote for others. So please use the chat system to tell us which one is the other one that you are familiar with or you are using, right? So I give you another minute to continue voting, but I continue with my presentation now with the demonstration of all these on top of Microsoft Word. I have prepared a video for you. I hope you can. Where is it? It's coming. Okay, perfect. I hope you can see the video, right? So this is my document in Word. If you remember from the first episode, in this instance of Microsoft Word, I have installed the add-in of the SES Engineering Studio. When you connect, now there is no, if you remember from the first episode as well, everything is starting with a wizard to configure the document. And now the document is already configured, so there is no need to go over the wizard. Of course, you can force and repeat the preliminary configuration. But if you don't do so, then you just keep writing requirements. I have clicked on add a new Word product. So I have my requirement in here and also in the engineering view. Both views, as you know, are fully synchronized. I have written this, well, a little bit a stupid requirement. The car should be designed to provide a lot of autonomy. You know that with the add-in, it is like having if you remember the old RQA, then you have a full RQA and indeed a full SES within Word, so you can change and tailor the rules to be followed if you wish, or if you don't want, in this short video, I am not changing the rules, but I will define which or which of those catalogs of rules that I have implemented in my repository. I have here 7. I want to use this one, number 3. Okay, now the catalog of rules is applied with a single click. And now from here, I can go and check what is the level of quality or how well I have or how bad I have performed compared with my set of rules. Now the tool is telling me that should is not, according to the configuration, should is not welcome at this level. Passive voice, which is not welcome. A lot of, the tool is telling you, please don't use a lot of. It is very difficult to measure. Please provide another quantifier. So this is all the information the tool is giving you, of course, with the red frame telling you that the level of quality is very low. I have replaced by this other requirement, while in nominal conditions, the maximum power consumption per kilometer of the car shall be 1 kilowatt per hour. And now everything is green, at least according to the configuration of rules, right? Of course, I can be a little bit more demanding in my rules and force that nominal condition could be a little bit ambiguous as well, and request more details on what do you mean by nominal condition, right? So it all depends on the level that you want to apply. Now I am analyzing the quality for a full document. The tool is telling you first to save, is forcing you to save the latest changes before you can reanalyze your document. Now I am reanalyzing. Okay, good. And then I can see that out of my 8 Word products, 6 of them are high quality. We have 2 that are not that fine. If you just hover the mouse, then you see that in the first one, I'm using all. Normally, the Incose guide is forcing me not to use all as a quantifier. If I go to the last, then I see that I'm using a name of a signal, which is a fake signal, which is a little bit weird, right? So this is what the tool is complaining about. All this, of course, if you just double click from this screen, if you double click, then you will see the full window of our RAT, the requirements authoring tool, with all the details highlighting where the issue has been done, etc., etc., right? Now, the last part will be on patterns. In the first configuration that I did last episode, I didn't assign any single pattern to my document, but now I am selecting, I am picking from my ontology, from my repository, which patterns I want to follow. So out of those that the tool is offering, I pick those that I want to use in this document. And of course, now this means that I can add another requirement to the list. And in order to I can add from both sides. And now instead of typing without the help of the pattern, now I am activated the notion of using a pattern to help, right? So when this is activated, you are offered in this drop-down list a number of different types of requirements. So you pick the type of requirement you want to use. In this case, it is just to write a physical requirement. And then in the second combo, you pick which is the pattern itself that you want to follow. Now, after selecting the pattern, you see that this drop-down list is connecting the dictionary or the model that could be connected to this ontology with the pattern, so that the tool is offering, okay, these are the 56 properties that you can use. So I select weight. Now this is the sorry, go back. These are the 72 components that you can use, or 69 components that you can pick from the model. So all these names are coming either from our dictionary or from the model. So I pick battery, shall, be, and then whatever value, 20. And now the units. If you know the latest version, when in the pattern we say units, then you had a large list of units, something like almost 1,000 units. But now in this version, the tool is more intelligent. And since we are speaking about the weight, the only units that are shown in the screen are those related with the weight. Of course, I can make the mistake and write kilometers, but if I make this mistake, then the pattern is not met, and you have a metric or two metrics in this case telling you that this is not a valid, kilometers is not a valid unit for weight. So I redo my requirement a little bit and I say kilograms, and now you see green and green. Green, high quality, no correctness rules are broken, and the other green is telling you that this requirement meets the pattern, right? So now that everything is correct, then I can go and save my specification. So that's all for this webinar. Now we enter into the Q&A section. You know, as I said, that we have plenty of webinars, libraries, and everything about quality of requirements, quality metrics, quality rules, requirements patterns. All this, if you follow the links that I have provided with the QR codes, then you have hours and hours and hours of webinars and also libraries to implement this in your own documents. Now it is your turn for questions. Remember that you have a chat box to type your questions. You are still muted, but you can type you can use the chat to provide us with your questions. And while you provide us your questions, a kind reminder that in 2 weeks from now, we will be having the third episode of our series. In this third episode, I will be focused on parsing legacy documents. Episode 1 and 2, I created the document from scratch. In episode 3, the document is given to me. It could be with the format of a Word document, with the format of a PDF document, but I will show you how through the add-in on top of Microsoft Word, we can open those documents and we can follow different algorithms to parse the content of these documents. The nice point is, as soon as a piece of information has been parsed, now you can do plenty of different things with this information, with this requirement, like analyzing the quality if you want, following the ideas that I have included today in my webinar, but you can also trace with other elements, even without of Microsoft Word. So you can take, for instance, a regulatory document in PDF, you can parse and identify the meaningful blocks of this regulation that you want to trace, and then you can open in the SES Engineering Studio, you can open a connection to to IBM DOORS, open your system requirements in DOORS, and you can trace between the requirements in DOORS and the regulation in the regulatory body in Word, let's say, right? Or trace between Word and Word, or plenty of other options and possibilities. So I hope you join me for the next episode. But now it is time for your questions. Cecilia, are you there? Do we have any question?
Yes, hello. Let's see. Thank you for the presentation. Is it possible to work with several frameworks or guidelines at the same time in a project?
Well, I don't know if I understand. I don't know if I fully understand the question, but if what you mean is the frameworks that I have been presenting, like INCOSE or SOFIST or European Space Agency, whatever. Yes, following the notion of tailoring that I was describing a little bit, it is possible to put together metrics from different of those standards or guidelines, and to come out with your own combination where you combine rules coming from different places. And in this very same repository, you can also combine not only the rules, but also patterns. So you can come out with your own catalog of rules and patterns that are fully tailored to your purpose. Yes.
Okay. Another one, could it be possible to consider my MBSE information during the writing process you showed?
Indeed. As in the case of these trains that are not fitting in the tunnels that I was mentioning, yes, the idea is that if you remember, when I was in the video, when I was showing you the way to write requirements following my patterns, all the information that was coming in the drop-down lists were actually coming from the models. So if I was speaking about a given name of a component, those name of components were coming from a model. It was not the case in this video, but if I choose another pattern, for instance, to write requirements where the condition is a given state. So for instance, when the system is in a given state and whatever conditions, an event occurs or whatever, a signal is detected, for instance, the name of the mode, the name of the signal, the name of the component itself, of course, all this is coming from the model. The model could be whatever SysML tool. We have connectors to Capella, Cameo, Enterprise Architect, Papyrus. We have plenty of other connectors as well. And when I was speaking about consistency, remember what I said. Normally, consistency can be at two levels. Consistency, what is the level of consistency between my requirement and the rest of the requirements within my document? But consistency can be also consistency between my requirements and information in the model. So that, for instance, if in my requirement I say when whatever condition happens, the system shall transit from mode A to mode B, the tool in real time can check if this is such a transition between mode A and B is possible according to my state chart in Cameo or in Rhapsody or whatever, right? If it is consistent with if it exists a transition in the model, the tool will say, yes, this information in the textual requirement is consistent with the model. If there is no such a transition, then the tool will tell you, well, there is something wrong, and that this requirement is not fully consistent with the model, right? Any other question?
No, I have no further questions.
Okay, so then in this case, I just want to appreciate your participation, and please enroll and continue watching our webinar. In 2 weeks, we have the third episode. So thank you very much. See you next time. Bye for now.